Hello and good morning, friends. Fix yourself before it's too late. Not because you are broken, but because you are responsible for the life you are living. There comes a moment in life when excuses stop working, when blaming circumstances feels empty, when waiting for someone else to save you feels exhausting. That moment is not cruel, it is honest. And honesty is where real change begins. Fixing yourself does not mean hating who you are. It means respecting who you could become. Too many people wait for a breaking point to wake up. They wait until relationships collapse, health suffers, confidence fades, or opportunities disappear. But growth does not need a crisis. It needs courage. Courage to look inward, to admit that some habits are hurting you, that some patterns are repeating because you allow them, that some wounds need healing, not hiding. Fixing yourself begins with accountability. Gentle, but firm. Before it's too late does not mean there is a deadline on your worth. It means time is precious. Every day you delay self-work. You reinforce the same cycles. You wake up with the same thoughts, the same reactions, the same regrets. And slowly, without realizing it, life becomes familiar, but unfulfilled. Fixing yourself is choosing discomfort now to avoid regret later. It is choosing discipline over excuses, awareness over denial, growth over comfort. And none of this happens overnight. Self-fixing is not loud. It happens quietly, when you choose to pause instead of react, when you replace negative self-talk with honesty, when you stop waiting for motivation and start building habits. Fixing yourself also means healing. Healing the anger you carry silently. Healing the fear you mask with confidence. Healing the pain you normalize because it feels familiar. Unhealed wounds don't disappear. They leak into your decisions, your relationships, and your future. You don't fix yourself to impress others. You fix yourself to protect your peace. Because one day, you will look back and realize that the hardest damage was not done by others. It was done by the moments you ignored your own needs. Fixing yourself requires patience. You will stumble. You will repeat mistakes. You will doubt your progress. That does not mean you are failing. It means you are learning. Too late does not arrive suddenly. It arrives quietly. When years pass without growth. When potential is buried under excuses. When regret replaces hope. And the tragedy is not that people fail. It is that they never try to change. You still have time. Time to unlearn what no longer serves you. Time to build discipline where chaos lives. Time to choose yourself before life forces you to. Fix yourself not because you are weak, but because you are powerful enough to take responsibility. One day you will thank yourself for starting when it was uncomfortable, for choosing honesty over illusion, for fixing what you could before it cost you more. Because self-work is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aware, becoming intentional, becoming aligned with the life you want to live. Fix yourself before it's too late. Not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Because the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Self-accountability is the first step to real change. Before healing begins, before growth takes shape, before life starts to feel lighter, there is one moment that changes everything. The moment you stop asking why this happened to me and start asking what can I do about it. That moment is accountability. Self-accountability is not blame, it is clarity. It is the courage to look at your life honestly and admit that while some things were beyond your control, many of your reactions, habits, and choices were not. And this truth, though uncomfortable, is freeing. As long as everything is someone else's fault, you remain powerless. But the moment you accept responsibility, power returns to you. Accountability does not mean being harsh with yourself. It means being truthful. Truthful about the patterns you keep repeating. Truthful about the boundaries you fail to set. Truthful about the discipline you avoid and the excuses you protect. This honesty is not meant to shame you. It is meant to wake you up. Real change does not begin with motivation. It begins with ownership. When you stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing, you reclaim your ability to act. You stop waiting for life to change and start changing how you show up in it. Self-accountability asks difficult questions. Why do I react this way? Why do I keep choosing comfort over growth? Why do I avoid responsibility for my own healing? These questions are not easy, but they are necessary. Accountability also requires humility. You admit when you are wrong. You admit when you lack discipline. You admit when your habits are harming you. And in that admission, growth becomes possible. Without accountability, growth stays temporary. You may feel inspired for a moment. You may promise change again and again, but without ownership, nothing lasts. Because real change requires consistency, and consistency requires responsibility. Self-accountability shifts your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a participant in your own life. This shift changes how you speak, how you decide, how you recover from mistakes. You stop saying, "This is just how I am," and start saying, "This is something I can improve." That sentence holds power. Accountability also builds self-respect. When you take responsibility for your actions, you begin trusting yourself more. You know that even when things go wrong, you will face them honestly. And trusting yourself is the foundation of confidence. Some days, accountability will feel heavy. You will see flaws you avoided. You will confront habits you justified. You will realize growth requires effort. But heaviness is temporary. Regret lasts longer. Taking responsibility now saves you from wishing you had started sooner. No one is coming to fix your life for you. Not time, not luck, not circumstances. But that is not a loss, it is freedom. Because if you are responsible, you are capable. Capable of change, capable of discipline, capable of healing. Self-accountability is not about perfection. It is about showing up honestly, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it exposes your weaknesses, even when it asks you to grow. And once you take that first step, ownership, everything else becomes possible. Because real change does not begin when life changes. It begins when you do. Ignoring inner wounds silently shapes a broken future. Pain does not disappear because you ignore it. It waits, it hides. It settles quietly into your habits, your reactions, your relationships, shaping your future without asking permission. Unhealed wounds do not stay silent. They speak through behavior. They show up as anger you can't explain, as fear you disguise as control, as distance you call independence. And the longer they remain unattended, the deeper their roots grow. Many people learn how to survive pain, but never how to heal it. They stay busy to avoid feeling. They stay strong to avoid vulnerability. They stay distracted to avoid truth. But survival is not healing. Ignoring inner wounds may help you function, but it will not help you flourish. What you avoid today becomes what controls you tomorrow. A wound ignored becomes a pattern. A pattern repeated becomes a personality. A personality lived becomes a destiny. And that destiny is shaped quietly, not suddenly. Healing begins with awareness, with the courage to admit that something inside you still hurts, that some reactions are not strength, but protection, that some habits are not choice, but coping. This honesty is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Inner wounds don't just affect you. They affect how you love, how you communicate, how you trust. They cause you to push away what you want and cling to what hurts. And often, you don't realize it until damage has already been done. Ignoring pain does not make you strong. Facing it does. Healing does not require you to relive every memory. It requires you to acknowledge the impact, to understand how past pain is influencing present behavior, and to choose not to let it decide your future. Unhealed wounds distort perception. You see threat where there is none. You expect loss before it happens. You sabotage peace because chaos feels familiar. Healing clears that distortion. It gives you choice again. choice in how you respond, choice in what you tolerate, choice in who you become. Without healing, your future becomes a continuation of your past. With healing, your future becomes a correction. Some wounds were not your fault, but healing them is your responsibility. Not because you deserve blame, but because you deserve peace. The future you want cannot be built on ignored pain. Love cannot grow in unhealed fear. Success cannot last on unresolved anger. Peace cannot survive where wounds are denied. Fixing yourself before it's too late means choosing healing now, before patterns become permanent, before regret replaces possibility. You don't heal for the past, you heal for the future, for the relationships you haven't built yet, for the opportunities you haven't stepped into yet, for the version of you that deserves wholeness. Ignoring inner wounds shapes a broken future. Facing them shapes a healed one. And healing, though difficult, is always worth beginning today. Comfort today can become regret tomorrow. Comfort feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels kind in the moment. But comfort, when chosen repeatedly over growth, slowly turns into a cage you don't realize you built for yourself. Comfort does not warn you. It whispers. It says, rest tomorrow. You can change later. This is good enough for now. And those whispers sound harmless until years pass and later never arrives. Comfort delays urgency. It convinces you that there is always more time, more chances, more tomorrows. But life does not move on pauses while you stay comfortable. Time continues, silently collecting the cost of delay. Regret is not born overnight. It grows slowly in comfortable routines, in unchallenged habits, in dreams postponed for convenience. And one day, regret asks a painful question. Why didn't you start when you had the chance? Comfort protects you from discomfort, but it also protects you from growth. Growth asks you to be uncomfortable, to wake up earlier than you want to face habits you justify, to leave patterns that feel familiar but keep you stuck. Comfort avoids all of this, and avoidance feels good until it doesn't. Regret is heavier than discomfort. Discomfort lasts for a season. Regret lasts for a lifetime. Choosing growth today means choosing discomfort now, but peace later. Choosing comfort today means peace now, but restlessness later. Comfort keeps you functional, not fulfilled. You go through the motions. You survive. You manage. But deep down, something feels unfinished. Potential remains untouched. Purpose remains postponed. And that quiet dissatisfaction becomes loud with time. Most people don't regret what they tried and failed. They regret what they never attempted. The discipline they delayed, the healing they avoided. Comfort steals opportunity silently, not by force, but by delay. Every day you choose comfort over discipline, you reinforce the same life. Every day you choose growth over ease, you build a different future. The choice feels small. Sleep in or wake up. Scroll or reflect. Avoid or confront. But these small choices accumulate. Comfort tells you you deserve ease. Growth tells you you deserve better. Both are tempting. Only one leads forward. One day comfort will no longer feel comforting. It will feel like stagnation, like wasted potential, like a life half-lived. And regret will ask, why didn't you push when you could? Fixing yourself before it's too late means recognizing this truth early. Choosing growth before life forces it. Choosing discipline before consequences demand it. Choosing discomfort before regret arrives. Comfort today can become regret tomorrow, but courage today becomes freedom later. And that choice, uncomfortable, honest, difficult, is the one that changes everything. Discipline is choosing growth over excuses. Excuses are comforting. They protect you from guilt. They explain why you didn't start, why you stopped, why you waited, and for a while they feel convincing. But excuses don't change your life. They only delay it. Discipline does not shout. It shows up. It shows up on days when motivation is absent, on days when energy is low, on days when quitting feels easier than continuing. Discipline is not intensity. It is consistency. Growth does not require dramatic transformation. It requires repeated effort, even when no one is watching, even when progress feels slow. Excuses sound reasonable. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. Discipline listens and still acts. It understands fatigue but refuses stagnation. It respects rest, but does not confuse rest with avoidance. Discipline knows the difference. Choosing discipline means choosing responsibility. Responsibility for your habits, responsibility for your reactions, responsibility for your future. This responsibility is not punishment. It is freedom. When you live by excuses, life controls you. When you live by discipline, you control your choices, and control creates confidence. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Each time you show up when it's hard, you strengthen self-belief. You prove to yourself that you are capable of doing difficult things, and that belief becomes unshakable. Growth without discipline is temporary. You may feel inspired today, motivated tomorrow, but without discipline, inspiration fades and motivation disappears. Discipline stays. Discipline also creates clarity. When you stop negotiating with excuses, decisions become simple. You stop asking, should I, and start asking, how will I? This shift moves you forward. Excuses keep you stuck in emotion. Discipline keeps you anchored in action. Some days, discipline will feel heavy. You will want comfort. You will crave ease. You will question if effort is worth it. But effort compounds. What you do consistently becomes who you are. Discipline shapes identity, not instantly, but permanently. Choosing growth over excuses also means choosing honesty. Honesty about your habits, honesty about your limits, honesty about what needs to change. And honesty is where discipline begins. Discipline is not harsh. It does not demand perfection. It demands commitment. Commitment to show up again after failure. Commitment to correct instead of quit. Commitment to progress over pride. One day, discipline will feel lighter, not because effort disappeared, but because strength replaced struggle. You will look back and realize that discipline did not restrict your life. It expanded it. Because discipline was the bridge between who you were and who you were capable of becoming. Fixing yourself before it's too late means choosing discipline now. Before excuses turn into regret, before habits become identity, before potential is wasted. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about respect. Respect for your future, respect for your growth, respect for yourself. And when you choose growth over excuses, day after day, discipline becomes the quiet force that changes everything. Healing yourself protects your peace and your relationships. Many people try to fix relationships before fixing themselves. They try to explain their pain, demand understanding, or expect others to compensate for wounds they have not healed. But unhealed pain does not stay contained. It spills. It spills into conversations, into reactions, into silence. And slowly, it damages both peace and connection. Healing yourself is not selfish. It is responsible. When you carry unresolved pain, you may not notice how it shapes your behavior. You may speak sharply when you feel threatened, withdraw when you feel misunderstood, or overreact when old wounds are triggered. And the people you love end up paying for pain they didn't cause. Unhealed wounds create unnecessary conflict. You fight over small things. You misunderstand intentions. You assume rejection where there is none, not because others are hurting you, because old pain is speaking for you. Healing quiets that voice. When you begin healing, your reactions soften. You pause instead of explode. You respond instead of defend. And this emotional regulation changes everything. Peace begins internally. You cannot create peace in relationships if there's chaos within you. Healing brings awareness. Awareness brings choice. And choice brings calm. Healing yourself also sets healthier boundaries. You stop tolerating what drains you. You stop chasing what hurts you. You stop explaining yourself to people who refuse to understand. These boundaries protect your peace. and they protect your relationships from resentment. When you heal, you stop expecting others to fill emotional gaps. You no longer demand constant reassurance. You no longer seek validation through conflict. You no longer depend on others to regulate your emotions. This independence makes relationships lighter and more honest. Healing builds emotional maturity. You understand your triggers instead of projecting them. You take responsibility for your feelings instead of blaming others. And this maturity creates safety, both for you and for those around you. Relationships thrive in safety. People feel safe when they are not walking on emotional landmines. They feel safe when communication is clear, not reactive, and healing gives you that clarity. Healing also protects your future relationships. Unhealed pain repeats itself. It recreates familiar dynamics, attracts similar situations, and reinforces the same disappointments. Healing breaks that cycle. You don't heal to erase the past. You heal to stop reliving it. Some relationships may change as you heal. Some may deepen. Some may distance. Some may end. And that is not loss. It is alignment. Healing helps you choose peace over chaos, truth over attachment, and growth over familiarity. When you heal, you love differently. You love without fear. You communicate without defense. You connect without control. And this kind of love is calm, secure, and lasting. Fixing yourself before it's too late means understanding this truth. If you don't heal what hurt you, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. But if you heal, truly heal, you protect your peace, strengthen your relationships, and build a life that feels lighter instead of reactive. Healing yourself is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aware, becoming calm, becoming responsible for your inner world. And from that inner peace, everything you touch becomes healthier, including the people you love. Starting now is always better than realizing too late. There is a quiet danger in waiting for the right mood, waiting for motivation, waiting for life to slow down, waiting until pain becomes unbearable or regret becomes loud. And while you wait, time keeps moving, silently, steadily, without asking if you are ready. Too late does not arrive suddenly. It arrives gradually. It arrives when years pass without change, when habits harden into identity, when potential turns into memory. And the most painful part is not failure. It is knowing you could have started sooner. Starting now feels uncomfortable. You see how much needs to change. You notice how long you've delayed. You fear that you're already behind. But starting now is not about catching up. It is about stopping the damage. Every day you delay self-work, the cost increases. Patterns deepen, wounds settle, excuses strengthen. But the moment you start, even imperfectly, you interrupt that cycle. Starting now is an act of courage. Courage to face what you avoided. Courage to admit you need to grow. Courage to choose responsibility over denial. You don't need clarity to begin. You don't need confidence to start. You need honesty. Honesty about what is no longer working, about what hurts, about what must change if your future is going to be different from your past. People often wait for motivation, but motivation follows action, not the other way around. When you take the first step, even a small one, momentum begins. You feel capable again. You feel hopeful again. And hope changes how you move forward. Starting now protects your future self. It protects you from repeating the same regrets, from apologizing for the same mistakes, from wishing you had listened to yourself earlier. Your future self does not need perfection from you. It needs effort. It needs commitment. It needs a beginning. Some people wait until life forces change through loss, illness, broken relationships, or missed opportunities. But forced change is painful. Chosen change is empowering. Starting now gives you choice. Choice in how you grow. Choice in what you heal. Choice in who you become. And choice is freedom. You may feel late. You may feel behind. You may feel overwhelmed. But late is better than never. Beginning is better than regret. Progress is better than promise. Fixing yourself before it's too late does not mean rushing. It means respecting time enough to begin. Begin with awareness. Begin with discipline. Begin with healing. Begin where you are, not where you think you should be. One day, you will look back and realize that the moment you chose to start was the moment everything shifted. Not because life became easy, but because you stopped delaying your responsibility to yourself. Starting now may feel hard, but realizing too late feels much harder. So choose now. Choose effort over excuses. Choose growth over comfort. Choose honesty over delay. Because the best time to fix yourself was yesterday. The second best time is now. So if this message feels heavy, don't push it away. If it feels uncomfortable, don't ignore it. And if it feels personal, it's because growth always is. You are not being judged. You are being invited. Invited to take responsibility before regret teaches you its lesson. Invited to heal before pain becomes your personality. Invited to change before time takes away the chance. You don't need to fix everything today. You only need to stop pretending nothing needs fixing. Every honest step you take now saves you from years of silent regret later. Every habit you correct, every wound you heal, every excuse you release is an act of self-respect. No one else can do this work for you, and no one else should, because your life deserves intention. Your future deserves effort, and you deserve the chance to become better, not perfect, but aware. So don't wait for life to break you to wake you. Don't wait for loss to teach you value, and don't wait for someday to become too late. Start now. Choose responsibility. Choose growth. Fix yourself, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to face the truth and change it. And that decision made today will be the reason you thank yourself tomorrow.